All my jobs in Canada came from networking.
You'll never close a sale or get a job likely at a networking event. How are you ever going to get comfortable doing something if you don't do it on a daily basis? If you've moved here from another province or another city or another country, go back to all the people you know in that other country and see.
I'm going to be sharing some practical tips on how to network. If you find value after watching this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to this channel. Hello and welcome to our immigration stories as told by Canadian immigrants. I'm your host, Christina McPherson, and this show is all about sharing the real, the raw, and the inspiring journeys of immigrants who have made Canada their home. We're going to be sharing their journeys. How did they get to where they got to? We're going to be sharing their challenges. What challenges did they endure, and how did they overcome those challenges? And we are going to be sharing their truths today. We are going to be talking about networking. We are continuing the conversation from last week when we said that networking is the secret, but not so secret, remedy to post-immigration stress disorder, which is the mental health toll of the immigrant journey. I'm going to be sharing some practical tips on how to network, but also how to spot networking opportunities. And then we're going to be joined by the networking queen and CEO of Networking Naturally. And she's also the executive director of BNI, which is Business Network International. And she's going to be sharing networking tips on how to network naturally, but also she has a remedy to your networking woes. So we look forward to hearing from her. Then stick with me to the end because we're going to be sharing some what I wish I knew from people who are going through the journey just like you. Now, networking sounds like a very fancy professional, orchestrated term, but networking is really helpful for building your personal and your professional network. All my jobs in Canada came from networking. It came from somebody making a reference or making a referral or me making a phone call to somebody. All my guests here on As Told by Canadian Immigrants have been through networking. Maybe two I knew personally, but everybody else was from a networking opportunities. Then everything that has to do with this show, me being in this amazing studio, also came from networking. Now, a couple years ago, kind of early into my journey as an immigrant in Canada, I was at a church retreat, right? And there was a couple sitting down it was lunchtime, and I had never met them, had never spoken to them at church. So I'm like, all right, let me have a conversation. We were open to the opportunity of sitting down, and we just sit down across from them. Now, Canadians, depending on where you're from, Canadians ask lots of questions. That's my experience anyway. And depending on where you're from, like a Jamaican, they must say, boy, them fast, brother. But the truth is that culturally, they are truly interested. They truly want to know you and know more about your story. So they're going to ask questions to initiate conversation. So this wonderful couple asked questions about what's going on in our lives, where are we going, and we were just about to move. And they're like, oh, do you have a truck? Do you have furniture? Do you have everything sorted out? We're like, no, we don't. And they were able to provide us with a truck, provide us with some furniture. And we didn't sit down there saying, I wonder if these people have furniture can give us. That was the last thing that was on our mind. But just being open to building connection, just allowing people to ask questions and truly honestly answering and being vulnerable, right? So there's an opportunity or an idea of a networking opportunity that we don't want to call networking, but building a connection, right? Now, it's going to be very important for your journey here as an immigrant in Canada, and that you just have to be open to the idea. You just have to entertain the opportunity. Now, at the end of last week's episode, somebody so rightfully asked, what is networking, right? And in some way, we may have our own definition of what it is. And in some way, it could be a limited definition or idea of what networking is. But it's easy for it to feel so professional, so orchestrated, so suit and tie. So, I'm going to a networking event. But it could be a barbecue, right? It could be just building a connection. I was invited to a barbecue last summer. I attended the barbecue and I was showing up for some good food, right? And of course, there's opportunity to meet people. at that barbecue, you meet somebody. I met somebody. They introduced me to somebody else who they had known at the barbecue. And a few weeks later, I got a call from someone who I met at that barbecue that I just went to have some good food. I even brought my 4-year-old with me. And he called and said, you know what? There's somebody that I know who is right now having to pack her bags to leave Canada because things didn't work out for her. She's leaving on Sunday. And would you just talk to her? Right? And that's an indirect networking opportunity because I showed up and somebody that they knew needed me to have shown up on that day. Because when I did speak to her, it was just a friendly conversation as a mentor, like, how are you feeling? What happened? And the conversation I had with her was able to channel a more empowering state of having to go home. She wasn't so distraught at the end of the conversation because she saw where there is an opportunity to reframe the idea of going home. So that's networking for you, the magic of networking that I never want you guys to take for granted, but don't skip the opportunity, right? So we took the question to the streets. What is networking? We asked some students here on Durham campus, what's your definition of networking? Because the better we're able to define it or just get an idea of what it is, the better we're able to spot opportunities to network and, of course, opportunities to build connection. So here is what some people had to say about what networking is.
To me, networking means like making relationships with others.
From my side, maybe networking is connecting with people like in a different way.
Networking means getting information from other people by asking them important questions regarding any issue or topic.
The networking is like all in all, networking means like whatever connection you have made in your life.
Okay.
I think it's building connections between other people, like to have good connections.
Amazing definitions there, amazing ideas, building connections, making friends. Everybody that you know in your entire life is part of your network. So those are some ideas on what networking is. So I'm going to give you some practical tips on how to spot networking opportunities, but also how to network. Because if I give you an idea that, triggers a thought, then you can say, oh yeah, that's a good idea, right? But here are some ideas of how to build your personal and professional network. So let's talk about professional to start, okay? I want you to attend industry-specific events. Now, industry-specific events could be an immigration event, right? There's several immigration events. There's a Canadian Immigrant Fair that is relevant to you as a Canadian immigrant, right? But also, each of you is in different industries. You are in tech, you are in healthcare, you are in construction, right? Are there events that are going on that are specific to that industry? Tech, for example, there's Be Future that happens every year, and there's other tech-related events. But in that, I don't want you to exclude yourself from an event because it doesn't have your name in there or it doesn't have the name of your industry in there. For example, a tech event is coming up, but I'm in healthcare. But at that tech event is Manulife. Manulife is a part of the healthcare. They're also part of the financial industry, but they may have somebody on their side or somebody who can introduce you to somebody who can help you to tap into the healthcare part of Manulife. Right? So one thing you can do is when you're seeing these events coming up, see who's going to be there. Manulife is going to be there. The banks are going to be there, right? Banks are in tech, but there's other supporting roles that exist within those industries that people at those industry events may know. So don't exclude yourself because you said, oh, it's a tech event. I'm not in tech. Let me not go to tech. Go and open yourself up to the opportunity and be strategic and do some research to figure out how to then make it work for you. I also want you to connect with your diaspora communities. Now, I'm a Jamaican. Jamaicans have the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council, the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. There is the Jamaica Canadian Association. There are different people who are part of the diaspora here in Canada. So diaspora is the people who are from your country who are now living in Canada, right? who is that in for you, right? For your community, for your nationality, where can you tap into groups of people? In episode 1, we shared Nabin's story, who said that when he came to campus, he was introduced to a group of people who were also from Nepal. And so now he has a Nepal community around him. And that's one way to then now meet people, learn what they learn, know who they know, and expand your network. Number 3, I don't want you to go to events and sit beside your friends or your husband. Now, maybe you're shy, right? And so going in with somebody is nice and easy and probably breaks the ice because then you don't feel alone. But then when it's time to sit down or converse with people, I don't want you to talk to each other as somebody who you came and know. I want you to go sit at that table over there, you sit at this table over there, because when you do that, when you split up, you can meet twice as many people versus when you just sat together at the same table. When I visited Nova Scotia in 2024, we went to the Canadian Immigrant Fair. And at the fair, I said, all right, guys, split up, okay? We're not here to hang out. We're here to meet people. So split up. You over there, you over there. And when I walked around, I know who came with me. So just in case the people who didn't come with me didn't get to speak to who I spoke to them. So when I spoke to this one company over here and I was like, hey, oh, that's what you do? You know what? I came with somebody who has a background in finance. She worked in the bank and she has great customer service. She's in a yellow shirt and I'm going to send her over to you. Then I go find my friend in the yellow shirt and tell her, you know, this company over there, they're hiring, they're the financial services. Because maybe my friend in the yellow shirt was going to walk around, and I mean, there's only limited time in the day, right, to be able to talk to everybody. But then because through me, I was able to connect her to somebody simply because we weren't sitting together. So don't sit with your friends. You get to a networking event, there's dining tables and all that stuff. You sit here, you sit over there. And maybe you want to sit beside each other until the room gets full. That's fine. And then you move. But that's my one recommendation, is to not hang out with your friends and talk to your friends. That's not the purpose of what you're going there for. Okay? Now, professional profiles on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a thing here. You want to have a good LinkedIn profile. A lot of people, when I meet them at networking events, instead of sharing like emails or phone numbers, it's usually add me to your LinkedIn network, add me to your LinkedIn profile, right? And so we have connected over LinkedIn, but you wanted your LinkedIn profile to speak well for you, so that when they walk away, they've met you, they come back tomorrow, you post something, they're like, oh yeah, this person, and then they can go and look at your profile, they can see, you know, where you've worked, what you've done, what you're into, because maybe they know somebody who knows somebody. But have a good LinkedIn profile and have a strategy. In the next segment, we're going to talk to Darlene, who's going to talk a little bit about strategy and strategic networking. So definitely stay tuned for Darlene's section there. Now, with all of these things, you know, go to networking events, have a LinkedIn profile, all these wonderful things, you need to at least have a plan too, right? Be intentional and have a plan on how am I going to build my personal and professional network now that I've done these things. Because it's easy to go to a networking event and just show up. It is, right? And then at the end of the day, you had some nice food and then that's it. Now, it can sometimes feel inauthentic when you go and if you have an agenda, right? But if you can look at it as, today I'm going to make a friend, today I'm going to build connections, because I don't necessarily, sometimes I go to events and I don't necessarily know what it is that I'm going to get out of it. And sometimes I just go because I'm open. I'm just trying to be open to it. So I go, I attend, I show up, and then maybe when I'm there, you never know who you meet. I went to a Nova Scotia networking event here in Toronto last year. And I just wanted to meet people from Nova Scotia. And it was the last person I spoke to. Just before I left, I was ready to leave. I'd met some people. They had a good conversation. And just before I left, here was somebody who was directly connected to what I did. All because I went. Okay. So be intentional, have a plan. Sometimes you don't need to execute plans step by step, but have an idea of how this could grow you personally or professionally, even if it is to make a friend. Then you need to have a strong follow-up strategy. I think that generally We suck at follow-up. We get the email, we have the conversation, and then you never hear from them again. As in, they never hear from you again, right? And you send one email, they don't respond, and you don't follow up. I think you have to have a follow-up strategy. Book a coffee, book some time to get back together, something. And then I want you to try and tap into the Francophone community. Right now, a lot of people are trying to learn French, and you're trying to learn French through tutoring and through Duolingo, which are great. But can you find a French-speaking friend? Can you find a Francophone friend of the sort to then have little conversations with in French, to text in French, something in French? I want you to tap into the Francophone community. Now there's people on LinkedIn, there's Facebook, I don't know if pen pal is still a thing, but the pen pal idea, you know. Then how about volunteering opportunities? My first year, I volunteered with the Canadian Cancer Society. I did the Relay for Life and another event, and I volunteered with the Project Management Institute. I was the member's secretary for the Toronto chapter, and that came from my instructor at school. So here's networking for you. My communications? Yes, my communications instructor, Teresa, hi Teresa, had said, Christina, the Toronto chapter is looking for a secretary. Maybe you can connect with them and see if that's an opportunity you're willing to take on. And understand that this is in Toronto. And to go to the meeting, I didn't drive, and I lived like by bus an hour and a half away. And I still did it. I still showed up. It's not every month, every week, every day. Whenever they had a meeting, I took my trek. I had to overnight as a friend because it finished late. But volunteer. Sometimes you're going to have to go out of your way. There is PMI, Project Management Institute, for my people there. There's lots of volunteering opportunities with them. There's BNI, Business Network Institute. There's your local board of trade. There's volunteering on campus. There's the Canadian Cancer Society, and there's a distressed centers, CAMH, you name it. There's lots of opportunities there. So I want you to tap into those opportunities. And that's about building your professional network, because that's going to be helpful for getting opportunities, landing job opportunities, and also not necessarily that who you speak to is that opportunity giver, but maybe somebody who they know is going to help you with the next opportunity that you're looking for. Then your personal network, your immigrant or cultural groups, which is similar to your diaspora community. Can you find a friend who understands what you're going through? You miss patty, you want some ackee and saltfish, can you bond with over similar, missing things? Find a friend. And part of that could come from even my community. So I have a private community online on school where there's a course, a whole masterclass on navigating the new landscape of immigration. But also there's a community aspect. Can you make a friend? Can you find an accountability partner? Then I want you to attend community events. Can you go to a barbecue over the summer? Can you go to Zumba in the square in the summer? Last summer, I had 2 sports day events. And those sports day events were opportunities for you guys to come and meet people. Can you go to a community event? They're usually free, right? Check out what's happening around you. Check on Eventbrite to see what's happening, okay? Then find an accountability partner through somebody who is going through the same immigrant struggles, so somebody who you went to school with, right? And I think that that's going to be helpful for soundboarding. I don't know for what reason, when I was going through my journey and I was anxious as hell, I didn't tell anybody. I wasn't even sharing my anxiety with anybody. I just kept it to myself, like, oh, don't talk about it. Maybe it will go away. But find an accountability partner, find a friend to help to poke you in the side, like, have you done your language test? Are you sleeping well at night? Find an accountability partner. And you can find those at industry events too. When you're doing your professional networking, you can find a personal friend. Then I want you to do some more volunteering. And this is also to make friends, so you can find people who are in a similar circle as you. And then at the beginning, I shared that my church friends, these people at church who loaned me their truck, they are now my fairy godparents. That's my term for them, right? They've helped me through personal crisis, even professionally, and even for like helping me with my daughter. because you don't have you left the village in your country, right? So you don't have your village here, and they have become part of my village. And I want you to seek out mentorship. I'm a mentor to several people, and there are other people who are ahead of you, a step ahead of you, several years ahead of you, who can help you to soundboard. They overcame some of the challenges that you are going through right now. So how can you find a mentor, seek out mentorship? There is a Toronto TRIEC. I'll tell you what that means on screen, but that is a mentorship program where you can connect with somebody who is an immigrant, who is ahead of you, who is in the same industry as you. Okay, so I want you to try doing that as well. And that's a friend, a personal and a professional mentor. And be open to making friends, please. Some of us are introverts. I'm an ambivert, but I want you to tell yourself a different story. I want you to go in and say, hey, are you? Darlene actually has some really good tips on that. So I'm not even going to spill the beans, because we're going to hear from Darlene next. Now, her mantra is your network is your net worth. Right? And a lot of us know that term, and that's the mantra that she lives by. Now, through years of dedicated effort and strategic networking, she has built an impressive $5 million business within a referral-based model. So let us hear from Darlene, the networking queen, on networking. Darlene, I'm so excited to have you here today to talk about networking. Now, in the last episode, we spoke about, the mental health toll of the immigrant journey and the feeling of isolation. Some people are feeling stuck in survival mode, and depression, anxiety, unable to get jobs. And I spoke about how networking can be a very powerful remedy to those mental health issues and the toll that it takes on immigrants. I've called it post-immigration stress disorder. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, I met Darlene at a networking event when I visited Nova Scotia in 2024. So see networking in action, live and in color. It's right here. So Darlene, for those who may not know you yet, can you tell us a bit about you and how you came about forming your platform, Networking Naturally?
So for years, many years ago, I started my very first business. I was in my early 20s, and it was interesting that when it came to me handing out a business card, it physically made me not only uncomfortable, worse than uncomfortable, like fear, flight, or freeze. It was fear and then freeze. And so to add the stress of what you're talking about to somebody who is new, you're normal. So what I learned after a while in my business was we get frustrated. Like you said, we need connection. We need human connection. We strive to have that support system, if you will. And so I made a list of everything that I wish somebody would have done for me. And then I said, I'm going to go do this for everybody who comes within 3 feet of me.
Okay.
Right? Because any of us, even somebody who was born and brought up in Canada, when you hear the word networking, it brings up a range of emotions, right? And so I began to realize it's not just me. Christina, we're all feeling this way. You walk into a room full of strangers, nobody taught us even how to make a friend.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so being able to realize I'm not the only one. And it was like, what do I wish somebody would have done for me? Now, I truly believe, because I appreciate anybody who has landed here in Canada. So please reach out. I'm happy to help. We need you. And when you realize that every person in front of you can share a few tips on how to get comfortable dealing with Canadians. They say we're friendly and we're whatever, but sometimes it doesn't hurt. And I believe this will become your superpower. Tell me a networking tip. Everybody loves to share a story. And so everything that you were wishing somebody, kind of ask them, right? How did you get your job? Enjoy what you're doing. Is it a great company you're working for? These are all research. Like, what are the things that you would like to know? And what did you study compared to what you're actually working at now? Because a lot of times, and I'll ask you this, Christina, what did you study and what are you working at now?
I studied project management, and right now I'm working in Canadian immigration.
Yes. But you've used every one of those tools to implement this, but I believe you're here for a higher power or higher reason.
Yeah.
And if we don't make a newcomer feel welcome, that to me is a travesty.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, letting people know that you are new is not a thing. Yes, you may run into the occasional person, and if they're not nice to you, you never have to talk to them again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If when we go into a networking, and here's the thing, you can be doing this at home on social media platforms. And the nice part is if you've connected with somebody on a social media platform, then when you do connect, you already kind of know each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so here's the other thing I'd like to say to people is networking in your calendar on a daily basis.
Yeah.
How are you ever going to get comfortable doing something if you don't do it on a daily basis?
Perfect.
Make sense?
Yes. Makes perfect sense. I love that. That's a very practical tip.
Well, so if every day you made one new connection on whatever social media platform you love to be on,
Yeah.
not selling, we're connecting.
Yeah.
Look at their profiles. And then I will also say, when was the last time any of us updated our social media profiles?
Yes.
Share some things about you personally as well as professionally.
Yeah.
And in the same way that as you develop, so imagine this, if we made one new connection a day, found something that we had in common, then put it in your calendar 2 days ahead, check out what they're posting on social media, like, share, and comment. That's everybody's dream. That's social media, but that gets you in that person's algorithm, right? And then 2 or 3 days after that, you're going to go in, and if they posted something or whatever, and then the 4th or 5th, you're still just connecting. But that's when you can start to say, I would value your opinion. Now, here's the only thing when you say that, is some people will give you an opinion you may not necessarily want to receive.
Right.
You get to find out because most people are usually polite and nice in the beginning, right? But you've made a connection. So what I like to say, reverse engineer. So I made one new connection a day, 5 days a week. That's 20 a month. Over the run of 6 months, that's 120 new connections.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk to you though. But on average, if we work on the 80-20 rule, that's 24 new relationships.
Okay.
You've got the start of a community.
Perfect. I love that. That's so practical. And you gave me numbers and everything. So like everybody should be able to walk away from this with that being able to be an action that you can do. And you can start, like you said, on social media. And that's less, I guess, threatening for some people. But what
imagine how comfortable, Christina, how comfortable you would be
over time. Yeah.
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 I know that you're good at making connections, that you're reaching out. Like when you came to Nova Scotia, prior planning prevents poor performance. You were on the ball. You did a phenomenal job of making those connections. And so maybe not everybody got back to you, but I was thrilled when you got in touch with me.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people think, well, why is that person reaching out to me? It's like they want to meet you.
Yeah.
Like, could there be anything better?
Yes. Yeah. And that's a good point too, because I think generally, and you can talk about maybe the mindset shifts that people need to have when it comes to networking. It's like people suck at follow-up. I think they suck. I think they'll meet people and they're like, yeah, this was good, whatever. And then you never hear from them. And I think that you kind of just broke the networking chain there. So what are like some of the biggest mind shifts that newcomers need to make when trying to network in Canada?
Well, first of all, if it is not consistently in your calendar, you'll likely never get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And comfort is the biggest thing. If you make that person, pretend everybody wears a sign that says, make me feel important. So if you've actually looked at that person's profile, their job description or their work experience and compliment them on something. When was the last time anybody did that for any of us?
I know, right?
The little things. I am the queen of little things. And that's how I built $1 million business. When you take care of the little things. So again, you need a plan. Atomic Habits is a great book, and I'm not telling you to go buy the book. I'll make life simple. You got it? Yes, it's a great book, isn't it, Christina?
We'll get it.
And what's his message? People set goals. They
Right.
don't
Yep.
implement a system.
Mm-hmm.
And when networking on a daily basis is in your calendar, one new connection a day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing I like to say is, if you've moved here from another province or another city or another country, go back to all the people you know in that other country and see who they may know. Let's say if you move to Canada, I don't care where they are in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
If that person can make an introduction, you're still building that network,
Mm-hmm.
that support system.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't forget your warm connections back home.
Mm-hmm.
Bring them along the ride, if you will,
Exactly.
because if you can connect them to somebody here that would be of value.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other thing that I find. Well, I don't want to do introductions because I don't know somebody very well, and you want to go shoot yourself in the foot that way. You're connected. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other, Christina.
Yeah.
It was just your energy and your enthusiasm and your passion for sincerely, authentically helping people.
Yeah.
We need more of this, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, well, you just spoke about like your framework for networking. So I feel like you've given us all the good tips, the juice. But for networking that feels, I guess, very authentic and doable for somebody who's shy, for example, who may need that first push.
Yep.
What do you think you'd tell them to do?
Well, you didn't come alone to networking. You brought some people,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So the first thing is find a buddy.
Mhm.
Find a buddy. Because here's the thing, I might not dance on a table alone, but if you or I together and we're having a good time, we're a lot braver.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And taking some deep breaths
Mhm.
doesn't hurt. A couple of things, hang around the food. If there's food in an event, people will come over, and that's when a conversation can start. So if you're really uncomfortable, you're by yourself, go hang out by the food. And just say, isn't this a wonderful networking event? Look at, they're feeding us. Isn't that great? Because it's like, I love networking, especially if they feed me, that I don't have to cook dinner when I go home. Right? But here's the other part. Many times, if it is a networking event or a conference or something like that, check and see if you can see who else has registered. Because many times you can see who's registered. I would follow up with as many of those people and connect with them on social media. If you're really looking for business, I like LinkedIn the best.
Yeah.
So if there's 20 people that have registered and you've maybe found a dozen of them on LinkedIn, connect with those dozen. Say, hey, I'm looking forward to going to that event. I would really like to meet you there. Now,
Yeah.
if they don't all show up,
Mhm.
you've still made a connection.
Yep.
You can still follow up.
Mhm.
But let's say 4 or 5 of them. And when you walk in the room, you've got the picture. It's like, oh my goodness. Again, deep breath, walk over and say, hey, we connected on LinkedIn. And I'm so glad you came. This is who I am.
Exactly. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, it never hurts to have a few cheat notes so that if you saw that person's face, go into your notes and do something. I loved your profile.
Yes.
I especially like, this is what you commented on. Well, that person's like, wow. My favorite story is I'd been following a person on social media. She didn't go out to a lot of networking events, but we had a little conversation. Just started. I'm liking, sharing, commenting. Those 3 things are important. Like, share, comment if it's on LinkedIn, 5 words. And I'm in a flower shop that a friend owns, and she's busy with a client. We're going to go for a cup of coffee. And myself and another woman are standing there. And we both happen to be side by side. I turn my head. She turns her head. It's somebody I've been talking to on LinkedIn.
Cool.
But my friend was busy for a little longer than we hoped. We went for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a stranger because I've made those connections.
Yeah.
So again, everything you do ahead of time
Mhm.
builds that confidence.
Mhm.
So when you walk through that door,
Mhm.
and here's the thing, I'll tell you a million stories. I parked my car outside networking event, never went in. Okay.
Okay.
Drove home, right? I went to a networking event and I'd hold my phone up to my ear and I'd walk in and the fear sets in within about 8 seconds. I'd turn around, walk out, pretend I was talking on the phone, not go back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I've done it all.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm the daughter of a naval officer. And so if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. So what I used to do was go stand in the corner and pray somebody would come and talk to me. Didn't, right? So then I would stand by the entrance, watch that person that I did not know walk through, and I said, "You look more afraid than me. Hi, my name's Delene." Like the new best friend.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's an authentic connection because you're connecting over a similar experience. Like, are we both scared today?
Well, but here's the thing. That's what you are not the only one in that room.
That's
feeling that you're normal.
Yes.
Again. And so if we look at them and say, what do I wish somebody would do for me?
Yeah.
Do that for them.
Yes. Perfect. Perfect. And if you were to say like maybe the biggest mistake that people make when trying to network in Canada, what would you say that is?
You'll never close a sale or get a job likely at a networking event. And it's the start of the journey to build the relationship that will open more doors for you.
Oh,
that's why one connection a day, right? Research the company, research the person. It might take you 5 or 10 minutes.
Yes.
But over the run of 6 months or a year, 6 months, 24 relationships, a year, 48. That's huge.
Oh, that's good. That's a golden nugget there because like when we came to Nova Scotia last year, we came to the Canadian Immigrant Fair and it was a networking event, but there were also employers there who were hiring and stuff like that. And of course, some of the folks that I brought are expecting to hopefully land a job in that. And even somebody from Halifax Partnership said, you're not going to get a job at a networking event or at a career fair, right? It's about that first thing, that first impression, making a lasting impression, letting them see your face, talking to you, which is different than a resume, right? Yes.
Well, here's another way of looking at going to, let's say, a job fair. They'll usually post ahead of time everybody
who's going to be there,
who is presenting there. So you can go to that company, you can check out the website, you can even find out through business development or somebody say, who are the people that will actually be manning the booth at that event? I would like to get connected to them.
Yes.
And instead of them interviewing you, you go in prepared to say, I love this about your company. I love this about your company. I think you're doing a great job. And that person who's talking to you, if you walked up to them and said that, they're like, whoa, because that's what not 9 out of 10 people are not doing. That's the sort of face that somebody will remember. Get everybody's business card. Because when you can connect through something like that and then follow up, you now have 4 or 5 connections in that company.
Yes.
You are 4 or 5 times more likely to get an interview and possibly a job if you start those conversations.
Golden. So to leave with for people who are watching this right now, right? So there's people watching it live, there's people that are going to be watching it on YouTube. What is the one thing that you would leave them with to say now that you know some tips, whatever? Here's a practical tip to start right now, today. What are you going to do today? What would you tell them?
Update your profiles on social media, share what we call a gains profile, your goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills. Everything that you've brought to Canada is a bonus that many people may not know about here, but certainly getting in the habit of networking and in your daily calendar.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, Delene has an amazing networking course because, like you said, they didn't teach us how to do this. They didn't teach us how to adult, right? We kind of just made friends at school and then we came into adulthood thinking that it was going to be the same, and it's not. So Delene has an amazing networking course called Networking Naturally course, right? And it will be able to help you to, one, get some of this framework that she mentioned, plus some in a structured way, to then take it step by step on learning how to network naturally. Do you want to say anything about that course, Delene?
There's 4 modules. If you do them about a week apart and kind of do the homework at the end of the month, you're in the routine and you will build a phenomenal resource network and relationships that make you feel a part of this great country.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me and my community. That was such good tidbits there. Even I got some on my own there, so that would be good. Thank you so much for joining us, Darlene. It was our pleasure to have you.
And thank you.
You can grab Darlene's course. You can get instant access to Darlene's course by clicking the link in the description or in the comment section below. And for anybody who does get it, I want to reward you for investing in yourself. And I want to give you 15 minutes of my time for free to help you to build your connections and your network here in Canada, give you some networking tips and coaching, and also anybody who is in my network who I think that could benefit from you having an introduction to, I am happy to make those introductions. So go get that course. Send me an email at astoldbycanadianimmigrants.com that, hey, I got the course, I'm in, and I'll send you the link to book your free 15 minutes with me. Now, we are going to take a quick break. During the break, you can go get the networking course, click the link, and right after the break, we are going to talk about what people wish they knew before coming to Canada. We're going to share that from immigrants who are going through the same journey as you and what their lessons learned were that you can learn from. And this is kind of indirect networking. So we're going to take a quick break, and I'll see you right after the break. They say experience is the best teacher, but you know what's even better? Other people's experience. Some of us have been here for 10 years, 24 years, 2 years, 1 year, and some people just got here. And we lived to tell the tale. By tuning in to our episodes and hearing our stories, we can save you time, stress, and money to learn from the mistakes that we made so you don't make them. And also the things that we were successful at, you can expedite your success by learning from the things that worked for us. Here is what some people have had to say about tuning in to As Told by Canadian Immigrants.
Thank you so much for having me on and creating this wonderful platform where people can get the information and get the honest truth from people who have done it, who are walking the road, who've produced the results, not a shiny brochure with a goose and a mountie on it, but like, here's really what's going to happen.
Early when you came, I had my paint party. So Audra came and I had my paint party locally. Was that helpful for you to be a part of that?
I didn't feel like I had a space for me, a community for me. And the day when it came up, I contemplated even 15 minutes before I got into the taxi to come to your paint party, whether I should go or not. And I'm very glad I did, because I needed the community. I needed someone who understood what I was going through, who had a listening ear, or just an opportunity to feel a little bit like myself again around someone who wanted me genuinely in their space. It made such a tremendous difference.
Because I was watching your videos back home as well. Throughout my application period, I was watching a couple of your videos, and it really did help me, and it motivated me. Because I applied to come to Canada, I got rejected, right?
Oh, yes, you didn't even tell us about your rejection.
Yes, I got rejected. But then, you know what? The same thing that I just spoke about, you shared your story with me. I use that as motivation to say, well, let me just reapply again. Why not? And I tried my best. I did what I needed to do. And now I'm here.
When you start making your posts, that's when I start watching your videos and stuff and doing my research. And
thank you for having me on your show. Absolutely. I think your show is essential for telling this immigrant journey. I love what you're doing. Keep on doing it.
Thank you so much. Welcome back. Now, 3 weeks ago, we started this mini-series here in the Media Hub, and we shared what we wish we knew before coming to Canada, which I think is a very powerful way of learning from other people's experience, which is indirect networking, right? You're kind of indirectly networking by being here, watching this episode, learning the things that we have learned so you can avoid those mistakes. Now, one thing the people who gave their what they wish they knew last week, all three of them commented in separate ways, and all three of them said something about networking. But how does networking help you? How did networking help them? Let us hear from these same students here on Durham College campus what networking has done for them and helped them in their immigrant journey.
It has helped me to form a community where I live.
For accommodation and for transportation, for job. and for study and everything. So yeah.
Okay. I have been in Canada more than 20 years. It has greatly helped in finding resources, explore different venues about different topics. For example, accommodation, jobs, sightseeing, traveling.
It's mainly to find jobs here, like, because I found a job through networking here right now.
So there you have it. Some practical examples of how networking has helped them and how networking can help you. So please get that course, take the tips that we got from this. And when you go to a networking event, what I want you to do is show up with a book. So I have this amazing journal here that has a blank table of contents. So in the table of contents, right, so it's a blank table of contents. And what you can do is write which page you went to the Canadian Immigrant Fair. So you're going to take those notes on page 22, for example, right? And so that when you go back to your journal, because it's so easy for things to just get lost in a journal, you write on which page, God knows which page you wrote it on. But now every page is numbered. It's a blank journal, some ruled pages, some numbered pages, to then be able to say, I met people at the Canadian Immigrant Fair on page 24, write down all the list of people who you met, their numbers, their network, their LinkedIn. Because when you connect with people on LinkedIn, it's easy for them to get lost in the sea of people you've already connected with. That has happened to me. I normally take a screenshot or something. So definitely get a journal, get something to be intentional about your networking. You can get this also on Amazon. There's different designs, all that wonderful stuff to help you on your networking journey. Now, what do these people wish they knew before they came to Canada? Let us share what these people have said so you can learn their golden nuggets. So let's hear from Chanel. Chanel said, I wish I knew that going to school in Canada and getting a job in a NOC code and working as a supervisor does not mean you are safe. I had 488 points during the time I submitted my application. Every draw and points were consistently over 500. And every year, points got deducted when my birthday arrived. Wow. Who needed to hear that? Danny, here's what Danny said. If you get a job supported by an LMIA, it doesn't guarantee safety or PR. And he also wishes he paid close attention to schooling in Canada. How many people think LMIAs are like a golden ticket? Stephen, let's hear from Stephen. Stephen said he wishes he knew that there were people willing to help. Isn't that part of your network? Isn't that networking? Isn't that you building connections because there's people to help? And Maggie said she wishes she knew that she needed to make meaningful connections as quickly as possible because it can help to make adjusting to your home less stressful. There again is networking in disguise. It's building connections. It's building community. That's all about what we've been talking about. That is what networking is. Please never underestimate the value you can gain from building connections. And you're doing it authentically. You're not just showing up to see what you can benefit from this relationship. You're showing up for yourself and for other people too, because they also maybe they needed to meet you, right? So just show up, just be open to it, and just go out and connect. This here, tuning into this channel, is indirectly networking because you're meeting me. Now you know Darlene. Now you know the people who I've interviewed. And in our upcoming episodes, we're going to be interviewing other people who have lots of tips to share for you and your journey. So tune in, make sure you subscribe, share this with somebody that you know, and of course, like and help us to grow and build this wonderful community. What's one thing you wish you knew before coming to Canada? Can you drop it in the comment section? Can you do that for me? Please, I beg you. This episode is all about making meaningful connections to support you on your immigration journey. And it's going to help you personally, it's going to help you professionally, and help you work towards your Canadian dream. Networking is magic. I promise you, just be open to it. Next week, we're going to sit down with some fellow Canadian immigrants. They are work permit holders who are in the thick of things. We spoke to an international student. Now we're going to talk to some work permit holders. How's it doing over there in work permit land, right? That's kind of just be between school and PR. How are you guys doing? And of course, you're going to indirectly network because now you're going to meet them, right? So tune in next week. This is the end of our episode. I look forward to seeing you back here next week for the next 3 weeks. We're 3 shows down and 3 to go. Please don't forget, you can follow the Media Hub on social media at DCSA Media Hub, and you can follow us at As Told by Canadian Immigrants on Instagram, YouTube, website, you name it. That's what we are, As Told by Canadian Immigrants. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. Am I asking for too much? All right, just subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been Our Immigration Stories, As Told by Canadian Immigrants, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.